Hey guys, welcome to Cosmic Road. This is Jack. Get in here. We've got a lot to talk about today. Most notably, there was a UFO shooting that occurred in Argentina a few days ago. This is major news, guys. The Argentinian military firing at UFOs. This is crazy. So let's talk about that. Ask me any questions you want, and let's just go from there. So get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And of course, if you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member. So see the first link in the description. Okay, let's just get right to it. We've got a really juicy story, guys. But first, let me let a few people get in here. How are you guys doing today? Is my mic working? Is everything working? Can you hear me? Let me know. Give me a mic check. Thumbs up. Yes. But yeah, let's definitely go over the major news, guys. Huge news. Okay. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. All right. Let's just do it. Let's go over here to the news. Thanks, James. Appreciate that. Awesome, Todd. Awesome. Well, I provided a link in the chat to the article on La Nueva, and it's it's not in English, but this is the translated version of it. So let's just go over it. The Commission of Studies of the UFO Phenomenon in Argentina is already investigating the case and requesting access to radar so that it is known what flew over the sky of Bahia last Tuesday. Two soldiers are believed to have been wounded by one of the ships. That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. That's right. People were actually injured by UFOs just a few days ago in Argentina. This is major news. Major news. And the number of shots and explosions the neighbors heard last Tuesday at the Commandant Espora base, which for the moment was denied by military authorities, could have a beginning of explanation or hypothesis that seems incredible. And yeah, the translation is going to be a little wonky. It's not going to be like perfect English, but it's pretty good. At this time, the Commission for Studies of the UFO Phenomenon in Argentina claims to have received information that night 4 UFOs flew over the base and that they were seen by military personnel who responded and faced the shots with the ships. We received information that the 4 UFOs came up to Espora from the sea. I guess they were coming out of the sea, maybe from some underwater base or some subterranean base, and they were just going through the water. I don't know. But yeah, they came to Espora from the sea. That one landed on a place where ammunition is housed, another on a fort, and the other two a little further away, perched on the Bahian sky as if guarding all the action. He confirmed to La Nueva, perched on the sky. I love that turn of phrase. I'm a writer, and that's a fun phrase. I don't know if that's the original or Spanish. I think that's what they speak in Argentina. But that talk of the going after the munitions, that is really intriguing based on what I've read and what I understand about the Majes, Brazil case, the UFO battle of Majes, Brazil, where the UFO control group shot down 2 UFOs over that town. And they were hovering around an ammunitions and a weapons facility in Majes. And yeah, the UFO control group, they were U.S. forces, like special forces. They were like super soldiers. They had super soldier gear and like exoskeletons and or whatever. It was nuts. And they were using energy weapons to shoot these UFOs down. And when they came down, and there was one human fatality from this. It's unclear if it was an injury from the UFOs or not. We don't have any information. There was a total information blockout. They even were taking all the Reddit threads down and everybody discussing this incident. I mean, it was a big deal. And the control group really stepped in. And the same similar thing seems to be going on in Peru, where we're not getting a lot of information. But yeah, so it was all around the munitions facility, and they shot the 2 UFOs down, and then they executed beings from those UFOs. The control group, military, special forces, whatever they are, super soldiers, executed beings from one UFO, and then they hunted down and presumably executed beings from the other UFO that crashed in the jungle. So, but yeah, that was all around the weapons facility in Majes, Brazil. So it's something like that going on in Argentina as well. It's nuts. Yeah, so let's keep going. We received information that the 4 UFOs came to explore from the sea, that one landed on a place where ammunition is housed, another on a fort, and the other a little further away, perched on the sky as if guarding the action. They also told us that the objects were black, triangular in shape, and that one who was landing on the fort fired with a kind of laser that wounded 2 or 3 soldiers. In fact, we are asking for information from hospitals and the Institute of Social Work of the Armed Forces to know if people with any type of wound or burns were admitted. Although the first information is not entirely clear, the agency has already formally requested access to radar from different airports to see what flights there were over our city that night, and thus be able to move forward with the investigation. Sephora personnel, whatever that is, will arrive on the city at this time to talk with the neighbors who filmed and made known through social networks the shooting inside the base and other witnesses of the fact. Yeah, and we can actually hear some of the action. I'll play that for you guys. Let's see. I can't share my screen, but there's nothing really to see. It's just there is some video, but it's just a bunch of shaky cam in the dark. You can't really see anything, but you can hear the shots. We're listening to an actual battle of UFOs, or yeah, UFOs are firing lasers. The Argentinian troops are firing guns, I guess. Maybe they're firing other ordnance. We don't know. Crazy story, guys. Crazy story. All right, let's see what else this article has for us. It is an addition. I do not know what intentions. Yeah, the translation's a little wonky. It was officially indicated the people at the airport and the representatives of airport security didn't see anything, and at the base they are all sleeping except for who is piloting the helicopter. So, is there a helicopter going after these UFOs? We've seen that before. For example, in the Italy case, when the UFOs were starting fires, there was a helicopter armed with depleted uranium rounds that are used for anti-tank ordnance that went after those UFOs, and one of the UFOs shot the helicopter down. Nobody was hurt, but yeah, there's an example of a helicopter going after UFOs, locked and loaded, and being shot down in return. Shortly before 21 p.m. on September 5th, audio and video began to go viral on WhatsApp, and the authorities consulted had no official information about what was happening. In the video to which this newspaper had access, several people are heard frightened by those explosions. What is it? The woman is heard asking the register, something exploded, girls. Isn't it the base's powder kegs? So were the UFOs blowing up the base's powder kegs? Everything shook, said a male voice. At all times, while the talk lasted and the camera pointed towards the darkness, trying to focus on an illuminated sector in the distance, machine guns, explosions, and shots of different calibers were heard. Even at one point, there was talk of an explosion and that something caught fire. They're throwing explosives, they claim, frightened. That is crazy, guys. And that's all the information this article has, and I've linked to it in the chat. But yeah, there was a UFO battle in Argentina just a few days ago. This is crazy. This is crazy. Why isn't this international news? I mean, this should be everywhere. Why is the only article, one that's only available in Spanish? I mean, this should be on Fox. This should be on CNN. BCC. Everybody should be covering this. This is nuts. This is nuts. Um, Let's see. Stargazer says, I have been doing some research into an ancient Inca city named Patiti. It seems that it could be related to the phenomenon. Well, let us know, Stargazer. Let us know what you find, because that South America is a hot spot. I mean, there's a lot going on there, guys. It's crazy. There's, the Majas case. There's the Lance Corporal Weigand case in Peru, which seems to be a UFO shoot down. There's, of course, the current alien invasion or whatever it is going on in Peru, in the San Antonio area. And that situation isn't isolated to that one region or this one time. It's been going on in that whole area, including, places in Brazil for at least a couple of years. And there have been people hurt. There was even one death associated with it, from a miscarriage. And it's alarming. There is a UFO battle. There's some war between humans and non-humans, or at least somebody with high technology. We don't really know who they are. We know there are photos and videos of what looked like non-humans from the San Antonio, Peru case. There's multiple photos and videos of non-human looking beings. So is that what's going on? Were those photos and videos of beings that were simply, drawn to the activity and trying to figure out what's going on? Because we don't have any confirmation that those beings, if indeed that's what was being captured in those photos and videos, are actually the responsible party for the attacks. But let me know what you guys think. Chris says, that's one of my reservations about disclosure. As a kid, I was all for disclosure. Now that I'm older, I have concerns about retrieved weapons from non-terrestrial entities. Yeah, really. The control group in the with alien tech. Do we really want the control group to have sophisticated tech? Well, they do, and I do not trust them with it. But if you're just joining me, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Currently, I'm talking about the recent UFO battle that occurred just a few days ago on September 5th in Argentina. There were a couple of injuries, human injuries that we know of, and the military was firing rounds, many rounds at UFOs. We don't know what became of those UFOs, where they went, were any of them shot down. It's so incredible that mundane weapons could affect these sophisticated craft, but we see that time and time again where that is actually what's going on. Let me know what you think about all this and any other things that you want to talk about today in the chat. I would love to answer your questions and to talk about the latest what's what in the world of UFOs. And if you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider leaving a super chat. Super chats are wonderful, and they definitely keep me motivated to keep doing these live streams. I love doing live streams, but that definitely makes me feel like I'm appreciated and that this is something that you want. But Martin says, hey, good day. Hey, Martin, how's it going? The South America scene wrapped around UAP could bust everything wide open. Man, it really could, Martin. There's so much going on there. What is going on? I suspect that it's multiple things and that it's been happening for hundreds or thousands of years. I go back to ayahuasca and what my shaman, told us, and that the technology or the information about how to create ayahuasca was given to them by beings they considered to be gods. And this was long, long ago. And that makes me think of those great cities that we now know from LIDAR that are hidden in the jungle in South America. And now they are slowly being discovered. Could that be some high civilization that had advanced technology, some Atlantean-like civilization, or even, related directly to Atlantis or some similar civilization? and that they were in contact with, higher beings, aliens, whatever they were. It's so I think that whole area, the Nazca lines, the mummies, the elongated skull people, some of those guys were simply binding their heads, but some of them weren't. Some of them seem to be. We are always watching again and again. What? Yeah. Enough with the bots. I don't know what's going on with the bots. Yeah, enough. That's creepy, guys. That's super creepy. What the hell is going on with the chat? Yeah, I can block these guys. Remove, report, remove, put user in a timeout, hide user on this channel. Okay, I'm hiding that guy. But there's so many of them. I can't. Yeah, they're spamming me. Some bots are spamming me. Hey, Don, how's it going? Hey, Jack, have there been any updates in the village in Peru? I haven't heard anything in a while. Yeah, right. It's been very suspicious. Been very suspicious, Don, that there have been no updates about what's going on in Peru. I keep my eyes glued for any more information, but there seems to have been an information blackout from that region ever since the control group stepped in. And, we don't have a whole lot of confirmation that the control group did indeed step in. We have one report of black helicopters. Oh, thank you so much. So let's see who gave. Yeah, thank you so much, Johnny. I appreciate that. Will you be covering the Mexico hearing on the 12th? The Brazilian hearing was pretty disappointing. Yeah, Brazilian hearing wasn't exciting at all. I mean, I'm glad they're doing a hearing. I guess that's cool. But yeah, I will absolutely be covering the Mexico hearing. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on south of the border, and maybe they will be more motivated to reveal the truth than everybody else. We can't trust Sean Kirkpatrick. So yeah, absolutely. I will have my eyes on Mexico, and I will be reporting on those hearings. But yeah, to get back to Don's point about the information blackout in Peru, we haven't received much more information ever since the reports first started circulating. The disinformation about the miners with jetpacks. Yeah, so yeah, that was and it's weird how many people swallowed that, right? Like the swamp gas, right? You just provide some dumb explanation, and it's enough. People will buy it because it's what they want to believe. They don't want to believe in an alien invasion or what UFOs, so they're going to swallow a stupid swamp gas explanation. It's really disheartening to see people just sweep this under the rug with a really on the surface stupid Scooby Doo explanation. I mean, that's how they swept all this under the rug with a Scooby Doo plot. I mean, it's just stupid. Yeah, we are always watching. Look at all those bots. That's crazy. Martin says it's been said that but I guess that's a good thing. If I'm getting bots, I must be annoying somebody, right? So I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, Martin says it's been said that if we are going to break the disclosure vice, it will come from outside of the Five Eyes. Yeah, I totally see that. I totally see that. And I think these other countries that are being attacked, might be really motivated to be more open and transparent. So, Windry says, yes, Graham Hancock's theory. Yeah, I think Graham Hancock is on the money. I think Graham Hancock is super on the money that that area has been heavily involved in the phenomenon for a long time, that it has shaped the peoples and the cultures. I read one statistic, there's not a whole lot of corroboration for a lot of this. So, but one statistic said that it was talking about the various peoples that are most often abducted by UFOs. And leading the pack, like in the top three, were Native Americans, and I think that's also including South Americans. So that's really interesting, and it makes sense if they have this long-standing interaction with the phenomenon. So the people, the star people, like them and want to work with them, or something. Who knows? What exactly is going on there. I would love to know. I would love to know. And they have helped those people as well. Like with ayahuasca and a greater connection to the spirit and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's been a positive influence in many ways. But there's also this negative crap that's going on, actually hurting people. And now they got the military shooting at them. Yeah, if you're just joining me, there was a UFO battle in Argentina just a few days ago on September 5th. I've linked to the article in the chat and go check it out. But yeah, the Argentinian military was firing on two UFOs that apparently came from the sea, and there were two human injuries that we know of as a result. And the local media is trying to get more information, and they're going to the hospitals and trying to see if there's more injuries and getting more information on this. So we'll see, and we can hope that more information is forthcoming on that. But it's a crazy story. And so what's going on in Peru with the alien invasion, whatever's going on there, it's not an isolated thing. This has been going. This is a that whole part of the world seems to be afflicted with the UFOs, and not just any UFOs, but unfriendly UFOs that are harming people. And the military is fighting and shooting back. And the UFO control group that's centered, I guess, in the U.S., although it's a multinational operation, definitely has a hand in that. They came in there with their Scooby-Doo story in Peru. They were the ones that shot down the UFOs in Majes, Brazil. So yeah. Entertainment says we come from planet Zerga and we take you in a spaceship. Okay, yeah, all right. Can says, yeah, okay, is that another bot? I think it's another bot. God. All right. Yes, I am hiding you from the channel. Sorry. And I'm hiding entertainment from the channel. Yes, I don't need any bots. Ganuk, oh my God, so many bots. So many bots. But yeah, if you want me to see your comment right away as I weed through all these bots, leave a super chat. I will see your comment immediately with the super chat and respond immediately. But yeah, so many bots. What the hell? But yeah, let me know what you think about this crazy situation. Franklin says, "Do you trust Richard Doty?" No, I don't trust Richard Doty at all. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. I mean, he is a known disinformation agent. Yes, he has now ingratiated himself into the UFO community and goes to UFO conventions and gives information. Can we trust any of that information? No, we can't. But at the same time, he does have sources and information the rest of us don't. Maybe he's peppering a little truth in there. It's kind of like when the beings tell people stuff. I've made a great study of UFO abductions and particularly what the beings tell people. That's how we're going to get any information is through alien abductions and those, out of body experiences and near death experiences. People that can pierce the veil, people that have gone to the other side and have information to bring back to us. And thank you, Jake from State Farm. I appreciate that so much. That really keeps me motivated to keep doing these live streams. Definitely. But Richard Doty is, he does have information. The beings have information. They don't necessarily tell people the truth. Unfortunately, they have told people a lot of whoppers. And I can go through some of those whoppers, particularly about where they're from and what they're all about. They lie. So, but they do have information. So you do kind of have to listen to them, right? Because there may be some truth in there, some little nuggets of gold. So that's kind of how I feel about Richard Doty. Is he has information a lot of us don't have, so he's worth listening to, but with a huge grain of salt, like the biggest grain of salt ever. But at the same time, you don't want to fill your head with disinformation. So, I tend to ignore him for that reason. But it is what it is. Stargazer says, control group in chat confirmed. Yes, I think so. Something's going on there. Something, and it's UFO related too. They're like talking about UFOs and abduction. So clearly UFO bot going on. That's nuts. Never had that happen before. Chris Collins says, even 20 years ago when I traveled in Mexico, I got another super chat going. Hey, thank you so much, Clive. I really appreciate that. And if you super chatters have any questions or anything, I will instantly see your questions and be able to get to them. So now let's see. But yeah, Chris says, 20 years ago when I traveled to Mexico, the culture is so much more open about UFO disclosure. Well, that's really interesting. There's a show dedicated to the topic by Jaime Musan every Sunday. Yeah, I love Jaime. He's great. He's great. Some people don't like him. I don't know why. I think he's pretty awesome. Browntown says, can you talk about Matilda O'Donnell McElroy? I don't know Matilda. Tell me about the Matilda story. I don't know that one. Maybe I've forgotten. I've studied so much. I've forgotten half of what I've studied. Franklin says there was a ton of videos from Mexico City in the 90s. Cool, cool. Yeah, Windry says all miners I know have jetpacks, right? Right. I mean, the military doesn't even have jetpacks. I mean, not that we know of. They have prototypes and they have stuff they can fly over water and stuff, but it's not like in standard operation. So, I mean, how would miners in South America have jetpacks? I mean, you can't even get a jetpack. Not a functioning one that you wouldn't want to fly that you would want to fly over land. Some random guy says, "Hey, what's up with the group advising Biden on disclosure, and how do I talk to the guy running that?" Right? Yeah, I actually did a piece on him a month or so ago about the guy running the what do they call it, the interoffice UAP agency, the White House agency. I forget his name, but yeah, the research that I was doing seemed to indicate that he had some involvement in UFO disclosure. So you're bang on, and that is directly from the White House. That is a White House operation. And they seem to have some hand in shaping the Schumer Rounds Amendment, or working out the kinks, getting people together. And hey, thank you, some random guy. I appreciate that. Nice, nice. Let's see. I am celebrating. Hit the button to celebrate that. Okay, very cool, very cool. But yeah, so the interoffice agency, the White House UFO agency, is really intriguing. That happened right around the time of Balloon Gate. I mean, that happened during Balloon Gate. It was apparently, sparked by Balloon Gate. So, are they balloons? Would the White House created its own UFO agency if Balloon Gate was just balloons? It's weird. It's weird. I'm totally open to them all being balloons, but at the same time, there's a bunch of weird stuff around it that was right around. I mean, they didn't release any photos or videos from that. After that initial shoot down, which was unambiguously a Chinese spy balloon. But those other three objects, there was a information blackout. It's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think I think it's really interesting that the White House has created its own UFO agency, seeming to be almost in opposition to Arrow. Right. So maybe they realized that Sean Kirkpatrick wasn't getting the job done, that he was a tool of the control group. So they wanted to actually continue disclosure or something. And they were, motivated by Balloon Gate to actually, do this. But it's a weird situation. I would love more information on it. If you see it before I do, let me know. Because I'm fascinated by these competing UFO agencies in the government. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was super creepy. Evermore. Martin says, any more on Schumer's bill? Is Sheehan making any progress? Yeah, Sheehan is talking about it. I mean, I can go over some of the things he was saying. It's kind of a long deal. Sheehan said the Progressive Caucus has agreed to stand down and not field an opponent to Biden in 2024. In exchange, in 2028, the DNC will have to agree to stand back and not actively oppose the progressive candidate for Dem POTUS nomination like they did with Bernie Sanders in 2020 when they submarined him. Yeah, they really did. He continued, and so the last 3 years, now not that I'm a Bernie fan, but he totally got screwed. He continued, and so the last 3 years, it's supposed to take place over a 7-year period once the NDAA is signed into law. Over the period of this controlled disclosure campaign is going to be supervised by the progressive element of the Democratic Party. So I don't like him getting all political with this, and I don't want this to get partisan at all. That bothers me. If it's going to be partisan, this should not be partisan. And he even talks about how it shouldn't be partisan. But at the same time, he's talking about how it's becoming partisan. So, but yeah, Danny Sheehan goes into a lot of detail about that in a recent interview about, exactly what the plan is and who's going to manage it. So it's really interesting. Really interesting. Stargazer says, what's going on with Stargazer? Images of a mutilated Brazilian man from 1988. Yeah, the human mutilations are very alarming. I'm only aware of about 10 of them. And they seem like they're more crudely done than the cattle mutilations. They're not exactly the same level of technology or ability, or maybe they were just doing it fast and dirty. I don't know. I know what the remote viewer said about the cattle mutilations, and that it was done by the Nordics. He would even made contact with them, and that it was all peace and love, and that's what they were all about, and they were just trying to get sustenance. So I hope that's what's going on. It's a different, smaller, less powerful party doing the human mutilations. But then I think about the missing 411 stuff, and I have a lot of questions. I've got questions. That is some disturbing stuff. It really is. UAP, UK, SS entered Argentina, Brazil, Peru. Sore subject, my friends. Bots come out. Don't come out. But yeah, that is definitely a worthwhile question. I mean, I think this has been going on there for hundreds or thousands of years. But did something new happen after World War II? Was there a new player in town after that in that area? Could have been. I wish there was more real solid information about that. There's a lot of conflicting information. I think a lot of that is BS. I think of the George Knapp story with, I think it's Hal O'Donnell, who was a director of Area 51, some decades ago, and maybe like 50s or 60s. And he told George there was a live being there, right? The director of Area 51 said there was a live being there at Area 51. And then the Men in Black approached him after he told that to George, and he was made to walk that back. And whenever he mentioned that afterwards, he was told to say no, because he was also talking about the bodies found at the Roswell crash. He was made to say that they were victims of Joseph Mengele, not aliens. So the UFO control group was using the Nazi narrative. I probably shouldn't say that word, but the UFO control group was using censorship, right? Yeah, the UFO control group was using the German World War II narrative around the whole UFO topic to spread disinformation about something that was actually going on. So I think that the Germans in World War II were doing some hinky stuff, and they were involved in the phenomenon in some capacity with the Vril Society and all that. But I do think there's also some disinformation around that, and that the control group is using that whole subject to spread disinformation. So I'm very wary of all of that. Although I'm very, curious, and that's an important thing that happened that killed many, many people, changed the world. And if the beings had a hand in that, we need to know that. And that's important stuff. But I do think there's a lot of disinformation about that as well. Troy. Hey, Troy, how's it going? The control group is labeled criminal, but the Pentagon has been tyrannical and wasteful across the world. Yes, indeed. It is the withholding of advanced tech akin to a David Goliath scenario, sling versus unfair giant. Absolutely. It is. They are withholding technology that could radically change our world The beings tell people all the time, spread messages about climate change and the harm being done to the planet and stuff like that. And if they really wanted to help us, they could give us some of their technology so that we could have clean energy, right? Right. So if they really gave a crap, instead of abducting people and brainwashing them about the environment, because that's what some abductees report, as they're being hooked up to these machines, and they're shown visions of this lovely grandeur of nature and the beautiful nature, and they are made to feel really good and lots of love and everything. And they're shown scenes of desolation and the environment being wasted, and they're made to feel really, really, really bad. And afterwards, they have marks on their skin, and some of those are from those electrodes or whatever they're being hooked up to. And that's brainwashing them to be pro-environment. I mean, it's a good thing to be pro-environment, but the beings do seem really on that. I mean, that is a message they repeat over and over and over again. So if they gave a crap about that, why not give us some clean energy technology, right? Then again, you have to wonder if we had unlimited power with this technology, what would we do with it? Would we wipe ourselves out? My rejoinder to that would be, we haven't wiped ourselves out with nuclear weapons, so maybe we could be trusted with this, high tech energy. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. And if you're just joining me, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and if you are wanting to support these live chats, please consider leaving a super chat. If I see a super chat, I will answer your question right away. But I'm going to try to get to everybody's question, but I will definitely get to your question immediately if I see a super chat. But we are talking about the UFO battle that just happened on September 5th in Argentina. There were 2 humans that were injured by UFOs, apparently, and there were, a whole bunch of shots fired by the Argentinian military at these two UFOs that were coming apparently from the water. I'm not sure if they were coming over the water or from out of the water. We really need more information. I hope more information is coming out. I hope the control group hasn't stepped in and is shutting everybody up, which is entirely likely and entirely possible. And that's the way it is. But yeah. So okay, let's see. 17 says, dude, look into Jack Safari. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, I talked about Jack the other day. I did a piece on him, or I included him in a roundup. And in the recent interview, he had a very lively interview the other day. And that was, he called the interviewer a dumb shit or something like that. That was hilarious. But he meant it in a friendly way. And the interviewer took it in a friendly way. James says, until they prove otherwise, I will consider them a threat. The UFOs, well, they're like in the Peru situation. I mean, they're going around, slicing necks or something. They're in silver suits. We don't know for sure if that is aliens. We don't know what's going on in Peru. Is that the control group? Is that some other breakaway civilization type sort of thing? Is that the remnant of some ancient civilization like Atlantis? A lot of the stories about Atlantis are in its final days, it went dark. It went bad. Atlantis broke bad. And, if the survivors of those bad Atlanteans are still around, are they causing mischief or something like that? We just don't know. We don't know what's going on in Peru, but I wouldn't be hostile toward the UFO phenomenon, but I'm definitely hostile to people that are hurting people, whether they're human or not. And, so you have a point, but I would not approach the UFO phenomenon negatively. We seem to co-create many of these experiences, not all of them, but a lot of these experiences, they are interacting with our consciousness, with CE5 and that sort of thing. You definitely don't want to have a negative mindset, and we definitely want to be in a positive mindset as we enter the age of UFO disclosure and actual open contact. because we may very well be entering that age in the next 10 years. It's possible. That is not impossible. That is not impossible. And I caution people against having a fear reaction about the UFO phenomenon. Hey, some random guy, welcome to level 1. Appreciate that. Nice, nice. And but yeah. So don't be against the UFO phenomenon, but do be against the parts of the UFO phenomenon that are against us, because it's not a monolithic. It is not one phenomenon. It's a mini phenomenon. I call it, the whole thing all wrapped up in one umbrella. I call it the greater phenomenon, which is composed of many subsets, innumerable subsets. We don't even know how many subsets, and it's all wrapped up with the consciousness stuff, metaphysical stuff, paranormal stuff, as well in cryptids. Possibly time travel. Time travel comes up a lot. That could be an element in all this. But some of those subsets are not friendly, and you are right to be against that. But I don't want, don't look at it as one big thing. That's all I would say. Okay. Chris says, have you covered former Army officer Michael Herrera, who discovered human trafficking in Indonesia running parallel with UFO technology? Yes, I did a whole segment on him. I've talked about him several times, and his information really dovetails very well with the Lance Corporal Weigand story. I did another piece on him a couple of days ago, and I've talked about him a lot. Really great case. Both of them were seeing the UFO control group, kind of surprising them. Not surprising them, but it was not a planned encounter by the UFO control group, and they both came away with the impression that the UFO control group was using the black market in part to fund themselves. And yes, that in Indonesia, in Michael Herrera's case, that seems to have included human trafficking, which is just horrifying. And yeah, so they have UFOs and they've got high technology. And are they behind some of the shenanigans we're seeing, like in Peru? We don't know. But yeah, they're not. They don't seem to be good guys. They really seem to be bad guys. Could there be multiple control groups? Are there multiple agencies and multiple programs that have this sort of technology that are vying with each other? I think that's possible too. But I think that disclosure will happen when the beings want it to happen, and that there are elements of the control group that are working with the beings and that have for a long time, and that's how they got their high technology. If the beings are working with the control group and the control group is engaged in human trafficking, there's a connection there. So but it's weird though, right? I mean, the beings abduct people. You don't even know you're taken. You have to be hypnotized basically to know that you're taken. You might have some clues, but you don't know. You don't know what went down. So why do they need to engage in that? It's weird. It's weird. I don't get it. But it's a worthwhile question. And yes, I'm very aware of Michael Herrera, and I've talked about him several times. And it's an important case. It's an important case. Gives us a back door, or behind closed doors view of the control group. Johnny Horrible says, do you have any new info on the cattle mutilations you investigated? Well, I did a piece on that from a couple weeks ago, talking about the remote viewing that I can't use the UFO organization's name. I'm not going to. They do, because they don't want to be associated with conspiratorial stuff, and they take a dim view of that. But yes, one of the prominent UFO organizations that I'm a member of, and a co-founder of the local chapter, we were investigating the cattle mutilations in our area, the Madison County area, cattle mutilations in the Brazos Valley, Texas. And yeah, so it turns out that because publicly they only admitted to 6 or 7 cattle mutilations. Turns out there's like 40 or whatever cattle mutilations. There's a lot of cattle mutilations. It gets really weird. So the UFO organization that I can't name we have our own remote viewers, and they remote viewed. We had 2 of them remote viewed the cattle mutilations, and they got in touch. They were actually they saw the cattle mutilations. They saw how it was done. There was like one UFO that was like making a circuit around the area, and they were creating a veil over the area that looked like, from the outside, it would have looked like a rain cloud, in a small rain cloud dropping rain onto the ranch. And then other parts of it, had a little mobile lab where they were breaking down compounds and elements from the mutilations. And so it was like a multi UFO situation. And the beings that were doing it were the Nordics, weirdly enough. And but in the remote viewer, one of them was able to make contact with the beings. At least one of these beings, they were able to make contact, which is the nature of remote viewing, is that it allows that sort of thing to happen. And, keep in mind, this is not a double-blind remote viewing, and this is only 2 remote viewers. So take all remote viewings with a grain of salt. But that was, so he made contact with the Nordic being, who told him that, they just needed sustenance. It's something about maybe a base on the moon, and they needed sustenance. And it was all about peace and love. And, just chill out, man. Just chill out. It's all peace and love. You can spare a few cow. And, so we're just here for the cattle. He repeated, the Nordic being repeated, we're just here for the cattle, many times. That was like a repeated message during that contact. So, but they're not just here for the cattle, because they also mutilate bison and elk and deer, and dogs and cats have been mutilated. And obviously there's been the human mutilations. Although, like I was saying earlier, those do seem more crudely done. It's not clear that those are done by the same beings. But it was a great question. So that's my latest information about the recent cattle mutilations in Madison County in Texas, is that it's the Nordics. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but highly interesting nonetheless. So if you're just joining me, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the chat below. And if you wanted to support Cosmic Road in these live chats, please consider leaving a super chat. I will see your super chat right away. So if you have a question, I will be able to get to it immediately. But we are talking about, whatever you guys want to talk about. But I kicked this off talking about the recent UFO attack in Argentina just a few days ago on September 5th. UFOs were shooting laser beams at some munitions factory or something in Argentina, and the military was firing back, and there were 2 human injuries that we know of. And the local reporters are trying to get more information. Let's hope they manage to get that and get that out to us before the control group steps in and shuts everybody up. But yeah, some random guy says odds of official disclosure on January 1st, 7-year plan. Hey, man, that's what Danny Shannon is talking about, right? He says as soon as the NDAA is signed into law with the Schumer rounds amendment as part of it, assuming that it makes it, that's when the 7-year plan will begin. So, we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Don says, wasn't Roswell a balloon? Yeah, that's right. Hey, you have a good point. This all started with balloons, right? The Balloon Gate started the new UFO agency, and our current age of UFO, understanding really kind of in a way began with Roswell. That's when the UFO craze began. I am Lakutas 77 says, hey man, you have a great channel. I love your vibe. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Your channel is one of the top UFO news channels on YouTube, in my opinion. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Up there with weaponized. Oh, hey, well, I'm not going to aim that high, but I really appreciate that. Thank you. Lorraine, I love Weaponized. Great, great. Yeah, need to know, man. Those are terrific podcasts. Lorenzo says Don Henderson Roswell was not a balloon. That's funny. Yeah, I think he's just. I think Don is just being funny that it all began with balloons, and that's what the Arrow website is now saying. Roswell was balloons. It was Operation Mogul or whatever. I mean, what else are you going to expect from Sean Kirkpatrick, the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick? If he said anything other than Roswell was a balloons, I would be shocked. Windry Production says regarding Balloon Gate, Ross Coulthard sources say one of them was a UAP. It was shot at and hit. Something fell off. Yeah, I remember him saying that. I think I even reported on that. That was really, really interesting. I would love more information about that. Triton, hiya. How's it going? Martin, are we where we are right now because the powers that be have in fact decided that it's time, but only on their own terms? Yeah, I think that's about right. I think that's about right. But then you have people like David Grush that are going off script. I don't think they were going to lead with bodies. I think they were going to lead with the physical materials and UFOs, the retrieved UFOs and reverse engineering. I think they were going to lead with that. I mean, that's what makes sense to me. Something that's less ontologically shocking than bodies, right? And then David Grush, he says, "Screw that, guys. There's bodies. I'm going to talk about it." And so now they have to reconfigure their disclosure process to account for that, and maybe give us more than we would have gotten otherwise. And David Grush, I think, is going to really spark more whistleblowers to come forward, especially since he's still alive and breathing. So and maybe that will help them stay alive and breathing. Coming out and going public. I think it will, like Bob Lazar, he did it to protect himself. If you are a Bob fan. Let's see. Don says it was a joke. Yeah, I think it was her. Jason, flying a jetpack sounds like fun, right? I would love a jetpack. That would be badass. I mean, a jetpack. I want a UFO. I want a UFO. Some random guy says since Trump recently admitted that he has been officially briefed on the subject, should we put any stock into the Galactic Federation claims from Israel? Is the Galactic Federation real? Well, I've talked about the Galactic Federation a good amount on this channel. There's a lot of people experiencers, both abductees and out of body experiencers who encounter the Galactic Federation and are, have a lot of information about the Galactic Federation. It makes sense that if there are aliens or non-humans, other dimensionals, whatever they are, that there's multiple races and multiple kinds, and the different nations or whatever organizing body they would have some way to work together. They would have some sort of bureaucracy and a way to work together. They would have a Galactic Federation or whatever it is. I mean, that seems so Star Trekky, but maybe Star Trek was inspired by reality. That's what a lot of people think. But yeah, it makes perfect sense that there would be a Galactic Federation, right? When we have NATO, that kind of thing. Why wouldn't they have a Galactic Federation? So I tend to buy that, but we don't know. We don't know. But it's a good question. It's a good question. But there's a lot of people, a lot of seemingly credible experiencers that do have involvement with the Galactic Federation. I did a piece a few months ago. There was one out of body experiencer. I think her name was April something, and she actually went to the moon out of body because she has these high level experiences, supposedly, and witnessed a council like a Senate meeting of the Galactic Federation in a hollowed out area of the moon. And she says that there were a lot of beings present in body, but there were also a lot of people joining them out of body. Maybe other dimensions in this, consciousness. So I don't know if Trump knows about the Galactic Federation. I don't know if he's read into all of that. I don't think of him as a UFO guy. I don't think that's where his interests are. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows what presidents know? I don't get the impression presidents know as much as they would like. I think they're kind of farther down the totem pole than they would like to be on the whole UFO situation. But it's a great question. I think Haim Ashed, the gentleman from Israel, the brigadier general, bringing us that information. He's a very credible man. The guy talking about the Galactic Federation and that Trump knew about it. He is an extremely credible guy. It's hard to find too many more credible guys than Haim Ashed. He's been with the Israeli space program for like 20 years. I think he's like one of the founders of it. So he says that some world leaders know about it. Trump was one of them, and that he wanted to disclose to the public this information, even including the Galactic Federation stuff, but was talked out of it at the last minute. And it's a crazy story. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's interesting. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating. Rod Henderson says, it makes me wonder if the spontaneous combustion phenomena from back in the day was ET. That's crazy. Yeah, I've heard that theory before, that a human combustion could be related to ET. Could they be lasering us and blowing us up or something like that? Good question. I don't know. I don't know much about that. I think I watched the Y-Files episode on human combustion, and I learned a little bit more about it, but I still don't have any hard evidence about anything related to that. But if you do, let us know. Please drop it in the chat. Chris Colin Lopez says, with disclosure becoming mainstream, I'm reminded of the George Bush Sr. quote, if the American people knew what we really did, they chase us down in the street and lynch us. Well, what was that in reference to? George Sr., he knew a lot of stuff, CIA director and everything. So I'm sure he had to be in the know, right? I mean, of all the presidents since the days of Eisenhower and Truman, he's the one that I would peg as being the most in the know, George Bush Sr., because he was the director of the CIA. So yeah. Qigong Paradigm says, fantastic channel, Jack. Thanks for all your work keeping us updated on this most monumental of issues. Well, I really appreciate that. I have learned a little bit of Qigong. In my Reiki class, we covered some elements of Qigong, and I actually incorporate it sometimes when I use Reiki. So I don't know if you actually do Qigong or not, but I've been meaning to take a full Qigong class. It's actually in my radar for the fall. Don says the technology may require a higher consciousness, like thought control. Yeah, well, that seems to be true. The UFOs, countless experiencers. I mean, Cameron Grant wrote a whole book about experiencers of the UFO abductee phenomenon that fly the craft. And they don't fly it with their hands, they fly it with their consciousness. And when they fly the UFOs with their consciousness, they like merge their consciousness with the consciousness of the craft, because the craft itself is alive. It's nuts. So absolutely, you have a great point on. Let's see. Chris says, you forgot again to say, get in here. I think I said that in the very beginning, but get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you wanted to support these live chats, please consider leaving a super chat. It keeps me motivated to keep doing these things. And if you wanted your comment read, right away, I will see your comment immediately when you leave a super chat. But I am going to try to get to all the comments, but it may take me a minute to get to yours. So if you wanted me to see yours right away, definitely, consider leaving a super chat. But we've been talking about the UFO battle in Argentina. 2 UFOs were firing lasers at a munitions facility in Argentina, and the military was firing back. And there were 2 human injuries associated with it. And that's all the information we have at the moment that I have. If you guys have more information, please let the rest of us know. 13 Paul 13 says Mandalorians in Brazil. Yeah, right. Silver armor and jetpacks. Right. That's so Mandalorian. Really is. This is the way. Let's see. Okay, I'm skipping. I'm not trying to skip, but just good. Okay, here we go. I think that's it. No. Okay, I'm missing. Yeah, Chris says you have to. I think I just skipped some. Um, yeah, the chat is skipping. Let's see. Nobody is supplying. Yeah, okay, I think this is where we were. Rod says either way, Jack, humanity needs to get to the new tech and the truth and muddle our way through it, or humanity doesn't make it. Yeah, right. Right. It's going to be a dicey century ahead of us. So I'm worried. I'm worried about where things are going, but hopefully new technology will be developed and will ease our way forward. But maybe we'll have open contact. Hey guys, did y'all see? I'm actually going to include this in a video, I think tomorrow, where Chris Bledsoe says the lady is going to allow him maybe to get her on camera. That there's going to be some event in Utah. He is being drawn to Utah. He is being compelled to go to Utah. He says he's going to get a camper and just like go out there and just hang out in Utah, where he believes that he met the lady in one particular occasion, and that she is drawing him to Utah, and that she is going to allow him to get her on camera. He thinks. He says he has a feeling this is going to happen, and his feelings usually come true. So that's crazy. So will that be the 2026 event that kickstarts open contact with the phenomenon? Wouldn't that be amazing? That'd be if the lady and Chris Bledsoe were the face of UFO disclosure. That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. Impossible Visit says nobody is supplying information and food for thought as frequently enthusiastic as you are. Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're creating an addiction to your channel. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't want anybody to get addicted, but I appreciate that. Don says, yes, Jack. Same random guy says, my dude, please hire a moderator. Oh, you're talking about the bots. Yeah, they seem to have left us alone. They seem to have lost interest in us. But yeah, it was crazy. All those bots there in the beginning. What the hell? That was nuts. And they were like, at least one of them or a few of them were UFO related. So it was a UFO bot. Was that the control group? What was that? I don't know. That was nuts. If any of you guys know how bots work, let me know. Martin says, any word from Schumer and his bill and Sheehan's involvement? Yes. I just talked about that, and I did cover Danny Sheehan's involvement in a video I made that came out, I think, yesterday or the day before. It was very recently, talking about how Danny Sheehan is, he actually has a group. I forget the name of the group that has direct involvement in the creation of this 9-person panel that is going to, I guess, be the gatekeeping committee that is going to, filter this information out to us. I actually have a lot more hope with Danny Sheehan involved in this because he is very committed to transparency and disclosure, seemingly. So I have a lot more faith in the Schumer Rounds Amendment and the gatekeeping committee because of Danny Sheehan's sincerity and involvement. But yeah, great question. Great question. Chris says you have to copyright that term, Jack, the greater phenomenon. Yeah, well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's how I think of it. That's how I think of it. The UFO phenomenon is one subset of a much larger and more complicated and important phenomenon that's wrapped up in, spirituality and cryptids, time travel, all sorts of nutty stuff. And it's all baked together, and you can't really. It's a subset, but at the same time, they're all baked together. They're paranormal activity associated with UFOs, and 1/3 of all UFO abductees are near-death experiencers. And so it's all lumped. They're all part of each other. It's so weird. People in near-death experiences will see aliens. Sometimes they'll recall a past life where they were aliens. You see where I'm going. It's all part of one big thing. And yeah. But yeah, I was actually thinking about that the other day. Actually, just today, in light of that, the talking about Bob Lazar and the humans as containers potentially of souls. Um, that's interesting in light of that statistic from the Edgar Mitchell Foundation that 1/3 of all abductees or near-death experiencers. Do they abduct people who have had these experiences because they have like a stronger connection to the other side, or maybe their soul can leave the body easier or something? To facilitate whatever experiments with our souls they're doing. I don't know. But I have to wonder if that's part of it, or if that means something, if that's all part of a bigger puzzle there. I think that's a kind of a clue. That's a clue to what they're doing, or at least part of what they're doing. The hybridization program seems to be a huge part of it, but they have allowed us to know that. They delete those memories, but I think they have ways of really deleting memories when they don't want you to know anything. David Jacobs' book "Walking Among Us" has a really good example of that. So they really don't want us to know about the soul transfer or the consciousness experiments that they're doing. Makes me want to know even more about that. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. 13 Paul says, I doubt they are friendly or here to help us. They may not be evil, but neither is a farmer. But that doesn't mean his intentions for the cows is for the cows' benefit, if you know what I mean. Yep. No, that is absolutely a good point. That is absolutely a good point. But again, I caution people again about thinking of the UFO phenomenon as monolithic. There are elements that don't seem to have our best interest at heart and are just doing their own selfish thing, but there also seem to be elements that are here to help us. But your point is well taken. Ron says the most positive attitude towards ETs is an imperative. People don't realize what it is to be inferior yet. Very dangerous. Yeah, well, that's what Lou talked about. Lou Elizondo, in his somber moment, is it's going to be a somber moment when we have disclosure, because people will realize essentially that they're not the top of the totem pole. And what is that going to be like? What will civilization be like when we realize we are not the apex? We are not the apex predator or the boss of Earth. That there are beings and powers out there that are above us, and there's nothing that we can do about it. That is going to be a somber moment, and that is going to be hard to reconcile for many people. It's hard for me to reconcile. I don't like it either. I'm sure a lot of you don't like that either. But a lot of us have had time to absorb this information and to grapple with it and to come to an acceptance of it. I mean, what choice is there? But this is going to be very sudden for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to have a hard time with this. That's why I have repeatedly said that I hope there are support groups being formed to help people, normies, suffering from ontological shock, or that will suffer from ontological shock when all this comes out. When the can of worms gets opened, whether it's 1 year or 7 years or whatever, a lot of people are going to have a hard time with it. And so I hope there are groups out there that are being created, or at least there is some thought going into that to help people get over the shock that they are going to experience, because they are. And that is going to be a big part of why. We are in some ways helpless before powers that are greater than we are. And that is a very uncomfortable thought. But again, some of those powers seem to be very positively disposed to us. So that's good. And I've had my own interactions with the phenomenon and the greater phenomenon, and they have 99% of them been extremely positive. So I am very well disposed toward the phenomenon and the greater phenomenon. I see it as a very positive thing, or at least elements that I've had interactions with. Very positive, very benevolent, very loving, very goodly, good stuff. I want a greater connection to that, and I hope that a lot of people are able to have a connection to that. And also, that's another interesting aspect. Okay, so talking about the ontological shock nature and how people are going to be, have this somber moment when they realize they're not the top of the totem pole. It's interesting if you think about religion and how that factors into it. A lot of people think that religious people will have a really hard time dealing with it because it goes against their religion. But in a way, if you think about it, they actually have a heads up. They actually have a leg up on a lot of people. I'm not religious, but I was an atheist all my life until the last few years when I've had these experiences and I realized I was wrong. Thank goodness. But the religious people who believe in God have always believed they were, helpless before a higher power, or that they weren't the top of the totem pole, that there was somebody above them. So maybe religious people, for that reason, will actually have an easier time with UFO disclosure. Just a thought, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below or in the chat. Rod says the most positive attitude toward DT is an imperative. People don't realize what it is to be inferior yet. Very dangerous. Yeah, we do that. Dank Blast Beat says, "Hey, what's up, Jack? Thanks for all the coverage on this. Love the content." Well, thank you, Dank. I appreciate that. Some random guy says, "When all is said and done, do you think the control group will be looked at later in history akin to the Holocaust organizers?" It's possible. Well, okay, so it gets murky, man. It gets murky because, if there are hostile aliens that are terrorizing South America right now, blowing up, shooting at munitions factories and terrorizing the locals in Peru, and the control group is organizing a resistance against them, might they be doing that for the benefit of humanity, right? Saving humans from aliens. But then you go into the human trafficking stuff and how they're, doing shady stuff. Can the ends justify the means? So I mean, there may be some gray area. I don't know. But I mean, I absolutely, from what I can see of the control group, they are doing some shady stuff that probably should not be forgiven. Honestly, we may need some form of amnesty to allow UFO disclosure because we may not get it without that. If they know they're going to jail, they're not going to tell us the truth. So, some form of forgiveness may be mandatory on our part if we want UFO disclosure. But I think they've done some shady stuff that, normally would not be forgiven, and maybe they should not be forgiven for it. But could they be doing it for an ultimate good? If they are shooting at UFOs that are hostile to us, and defending humanity against beings, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's a horrible, murky, gray, moral, swampy, situation when you get into all that. It really is pretty nasty. Stargazer says, when I started to look into the phenomenon, I began to really remember really weird occurrence that my family had when I was much younger. A bit freaky how close to home this reaches. Interesting. Oh yeah, he has another comment, or he or she. I think everyone should think back to unexplainable things that have happened to them through the lens of this phenomenon. Absolutely, Stargazer. I've been an atheist all my life, but I remember now as an adult, I remember at times as a child where I had some stuff happen. Particularly metaphysical stuff like the energy. When I was like 6 years old, I could feel the energy in my palms that I now think of as chi or the Reiki energy, whatever you want to call it, the force. And I think that uh, if I had seen that in the broader world and people have been talking about it, if it had been part of the culture, I would have been able to develop that stuff. But nobody was talking about it, so I just convinced myself that it was imaginary. And I'm sure a lot of people have had similar experiences and or UFO encounters, stuff like that, or paranormal whatever, that they now can look back on in a different light, knowing what we know now. And I think that is a very good point. But it does tick me off that I could have been, and we all could have been, developing these abilities and this connection all our lives had this information not been hidden from us, had we not been brainwashed by the control group and the powers that be to think all this is BS. And clearly that goes beyond simply UFO stuff. But people that have been suppressing real information about connection to the greater phenomenon, not just UFOs. I have a huge bone to pick with those guys. Huge bone. Yeah, Johnny says that's a lot of sustenance. Yeah, talking about the cow mutilations, right? Well, they don't take the meat though. It's not even. It really isn't a lot of sustenance. The beings that are taking the cow mutilations, they take a tongue or they core out the rectum, the genitals and the flap of the cheek, but a couple of organs, whatever. But they leave the bulk of the meat and the hide. But yeah, they leave most of the meat, and predators won't even touch it. I mean, the meat is going to waste. I mean, if they're drawing sustenance from that, it's not sustenance that it's not something that we would draw sustenance from. They're drawing it from glands and mucous membranes and adrenal glands, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories around that. But adrenochrome and all that kind of stuff. Trolita's Backyard Observatory says they also abduct whole living cows, but don't leave a trace. I don't have a lot of information about that. Can you link to anything about that? About them abducting whole living cows? I remember in the Missing 411, the new documentary, his most recent documentary, The UFO Connection. There's repeated elk abductions by the beings, which is really interesting. And the beings, because there was one experiencer that was drawn up into a UFO and that saw this happen, and the beings told him they were basically elk hunting. They were coming to Earth to elk hunt, and they just like elk meat, I guess. But in those cases, I think they were abducting the whole animal. That's what made me think of it. Vape and Shred was gifted a membership by Don Henderson. Well, thank you, Don. That's awesome. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll let y'all sort that out. But yeah, Robert says would be a film production based on a real event from the past. Do you mean like would they make a movie about Roswell? Yeah, there should be a movie about Roswell. I know there's TV shows about it. Some random guy. And if you're just joining me, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. Time for a channel break. Please hit like, please subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of future videos. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, please consider becoming a channel member or leaving a super chat. Super chats really keep me motivated to keep doing these live streams. And also, if you leave a super chat, I will see your comment right away and be able to get to it instantly, as opposed to going through the comments comment by comment. And but either way, thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are. And let's see. All right, 5 eyes. Matt says I have 5 eyes. 5 eyes docs for Jack. Okay, it sounds a little interesting there, but okay. I have 5 eyes for you too. Let's see. Some random guy does the Air Force's official advisory role on Stargate SG-1 make that series nonfiction in light of current events? I know, right? Well, the crypto viewing team did a remote viewing of a really interesting UFO on the bottom of the sea called like the Space Ark. That's like its name. And they were all double blind to that target, and they were all seeing roughly the same thing. and that ship had like portals on it. It had like gateways. It had like stargates aboard this UFO, with this giant UFO on the bottom of the sea. I think it's in relatively shallow water, like in the Bermuda Triangle area or something like that. Yeah, but it's, I think of UFOs going through gates, like what was the TV show Babylon 5 or whatever, where they go through the gates to get from place to place. But that UFO actually had gates on it, and beings would make pilgrimages to that downed UFO, I guess, to go through gates or whatever. And there's like writing on the wall, like ancient alien writing on the wall. Nuts. A great case, though. A great case. So yeah, go watch, check out that crypto viewing team, that crypto viewing video. UAP UK says, been watching Jack for a while now. Hey, yeah, nice. It's time to get your follower rating up. Yeah, right. You put a lot of time and effort to cover all the latest as it happens. Share, like, absolutely, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. He also says things are about to get wild, and I hope I'm not misgendering you, but he or she says things are about to get wild. Matt says Sean is gone now. Is he? As far as I know, Sean Kirkpatrick is still in the picture. He's now under Kathleen Hicks instead of Ronald Moultrie. But if you have some new information, if Sean has stepped down like today, let me know. Drop a link if that's something that's going on. I want to know about that. But as far as I know, Sean Kirkpatrick is still in the picture, but he is just now working for Kathleen Hicks instead of Heckle and Jekyll Ronald Moultrie. Delia West says, get some great crop circles in the south of. Oh, you got some great crop circles in your neck of the woods? Oh, I would love to go to a genuine crop circle. I love it. I did a video about crop circles a month or two ago. There was a movie, and part of that movie analyzed crop circles, and their takeaway was that the beings were actually giving us, they were using like sacred geometry and other devices to give us the keys to free energy, 0 point energy or whatever. And they were using crop circles to give us that information. It was really neat. I love it. I hope that's what's going on. 13 says Arrow is the equivalent of the Men in Black's flashy thing. Look at this while we tell you. Yeah, I know, right? Right. Yeah, pretty much. Look over here while we do this over there. But it's so weird that Arrow is now like, they have metamaterials and they might have their own crash retrieval program. There's no UFOs, but they might have their own crash retrieval program. That is nuts. And maybe it's balloon retrievals. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Isaac, Isaac is talking about Jaime Hassan, saying, hasn't Jaime been accused of promoting hoaxes? Haven't looked into it, but noticed the debate on graves going to Mexico. I have heard that about Jaime, but I haven't seen any evidence to support that. I am pro Jaime. I know I'm mispronouncing his name probably. But I know there is some debate around him and that maybe he's promoted hoaxes, but I've heard the same thing about Ross Coulthart, and I have nothing but respect for Ross Coulthart. So, but if you have some solid information about that, please share it. 13 Paul says, had there been anonymous news of the Las Vegas aliens in that dude's garden, I want to see the unredacted body cam footage. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Where has that story gone? I mean, those guys who just kind of hold up and, don't want any further attention. It seems to be what's going on. So I don't know if we're going to get any more information out of that until that family decides to come back into the public, into the spotlight. And I don't think they enjoyed being in the spotlight. They clearly weren't. It was not a hoax for attention because they don't want attention. So that was, I believe that was a real event. I mean, absolutely. I would love more information about that. Don says there must be some sports law of governance in space if there's multiple. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, talking about the Galactic Federation. absolutely, there must be some bureaucratic structure among the different races and beings and nations and whatever they've got going up there, right? 100%. I mean, the Galactic Federation makes sense. And there's probably multiple federations and multiple competing factions. I mean, space is a big place. Different dimensions could have their own factions, right? There could be multiple factions within one dimension. Within one we have, how many factions do we have on this one planet? Can you imagine how many factions there are out there, and with the dimensions and the densities? And yeah, having fun with my video. Okay, Alexandra. Okay, Matt says Haim Ashed from Israel is legit. He pioneered their space program, even has patents and a small room in the Smithsonian. I didn't know that. The Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. I had no clue. That's really neat. Yeah, Haim Ashed is a solid, credible guy. I mean, it's hard to come up with a more credible guy than Haim Ashed, a brigadier general in Israel who is the one who said that there was a Galactic Federation and that Trump knew about it and was going to reveal it and was talked out of it. And that the beings told us that we weren't ready, or they wouldn't disclose it until we knew what space and spaceships were. That whole thing. So really, really great, really, really, really amazing information. I tend to believe Haim Ashed. Trump has admitted that he was briefed on that stuff. So it's all on the table as far as I'm concerned. Alexandra says, have you an opinion about those UMA files? Fluently quoted in Europe, thanks. UMA files. UMMO. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Can you expound on that a little bit, Alexandra? Andrew says, I would be nice to see how they could have leaders who aren't corrupt and how they all work together. Do you mean the Galactic Federation? Oh man, it jumped on me. UAP UK says, Jack, would you like your own Cosmic Road Discord server for all your viewers, members, etc.? I can set this up for you if you like. Hey man, it'd be great. I don't even know what Discord is, guys. I mean, I've heard the word, but I am like not techie at all. I'm an artsy fartsy writer guy. I don't, I'm lucky that I can get this webcam to work. So yeah, if you want to help me with setting up a Discord server, because I keep on hearing about that. I know it's a thing. I don't know what it means, but yeah, that'd be great, man. That'd be great. Let's see. Where were we? That was Alexandre. Andrew says, yeah, 13 Paul, space would be like the Wild West. Space would be like the Wild West. How are you going to police a galaxy? It's too vast to keep control of, so I don't buy the Galactic Federation. Well, but that's exactly why you would need. Well, I mean, there's multiple nations, multiple alien or non-human races that need they need to work together, right? They can't always be at war with each other. They need a way to work together for common goals, or at least not to be at war all the time. So there would need to be some sort of bureaucratic structure, right? So whether that means the Galactic Federation is all one, homogenous body or not, or whether it means there's just different nations that have like a NATO, so that they can work together. I don't know, but I mean, that's a good question. Is the Galactic Federation one big empire kind of thing, one big governmental structure, or is it really more of a NATO? I think that's a good question though. Trolita says Trump would get the JFK treatment. Yeah, if he went forward, it's all too possible. It's all too possible. Delia West says, I've just ordered Chris Bledsoe's book. Oh yeah, it's a great book. UFO of God, a terrific book. I devour everything Chris Bledsoe says, and I'm really looking forward to the lady potentially revealing herself on camera. Chris says he's going to get her on camera. He said he's going to go out to Utah and he's going to get the lady on camera at some point in the not too distant future. Is that going to be the big 2026 revelation that the lady promised? when the Aquarius rising or whatever, the Osiris, whatever it was. Potentially, maybe that's what she meant. Chris Bledsoe says he feels like he is being drawn. He is being called to Utah, where he met the lady before in one of his encounters, and that she may allow herself to be caught on camera by him. If that's something that he gives us like a heads up for, I'm going to be there. I mean, can you imagine the zeitgeist of that? Of thousands or millions of people showing up in some cliff in Utah, all camping out, waiting for the lady to show up. Wouldn't that be an insane ride? And if she actually showed up, oh my God, that'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. Of course, that sounds like an awful lot like Ann Jolly, right? Whatever her name is, who said that there was aliens were going to allow her to go to their base, and of course, it didn't happen. Now, I think that she may have been on the level. I think that she probably wasn't BSing. They just kind of screwed her on that. When beings say something, you can't always take them at their word, unfortunately. Delia West at John Ramirez, I think he's already had meetings with NASA. Chris Bledsoe, yeah, he has. I hope I haven't missed any of your comments. Yeah, if you want me to see your comments right away, leave a super chat, and I will see your comments instantly, and it won't get mixed up. I'm trying to get everybody's comments, but as you can see, I'm a little behind in the topics. So if you want me to see your comment right away, leave a super chat. Chris Bledsoe has a long interaction with NASA and CIA. They heard about his story. They knew about the lady. They knew it. Yeah, right. Isn't that crazy? And so they were drawn to him. They knew he was being truthful. And, it was Tyler D, whatever his name is, I forget his real name, who brought even the materials, the metamaterials that Chris interacted with. And he had this, amazing interaction with this material. And then Tyler D knew he was legit. And Tyler D is this high up mucky muck guy who was able to usher Chris Bledsoe into the inner workings of NASA, the inner sanctum of NASA. The CIA, all those guys have been really interested in Chris for a long time. And he has some really great contacts among the intelligence agencies and NASA. It's bizarre. It's crazy. And this is a guy that has interacted with a goddess or whatever she is. And, he has all these amazing contacts and high level people, and they take him so seriously. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. Cat Girl, I love that name, Cat Girl. Wondering what room there is for freelance consulting related to this topic and for facilitating government institution response and adaptation. That's a great question. Well, would Sean Kirkpatrick or the White House inner office agency related to UAP, whatever it's called, or potentially Danny Sheehan, would they want some experiencers or people with connection, like Chris Bledsoe or you or whoever it is that is in contact, in a strong way with the phenomenon? Would that not be helpful to their efforts? I would think it would be. I'm sure the control group already has very strong contact and very direct contact. But that's behind closed doors. The people that are not behind closed doors need contact too. So, and direction and insight. So that is a really great question. Chat is keeping me from asking a specific question. Why, Rod? Really? Are you having some problem with chat? They are not letting you ask a question? That is really disconcerting when that happens. And when people have their comments deleted on YouTube, I don't know why that happens. What is going on there? Is there a specific theme to those questions that is being censored? Specific information that is being censored? I don't know. But I'm sorry that's happening. It's certainly not me. Cat Girl says also interested in communication protocols for DMT experiences or similar to better find, receive, and share information from these states. Yeah, I recently tried DMT for the first time a couple times. I mean, I've had ayahuasca, which is DMT, but different deal when you're just doing it directly. And but I haven't had enough to get a breakthrough experience. I don't have a whole lot of insight into that. I need to get the vaping pen. I think I'll have better luck with that. But yeah, no, that's really, really a good point. Is that I think that plant medicines and these sorts of medicines can allow you to enter into an altered state where you can have a much easier time interacting with the phenomenon. I know it's helped me. I've had some really good contact that way. So and experiences. So, um, so good point. Good point. Uh, Let's see. Chris says, Tangent. I like your videos because you close with questions as if inviting a conversations. As active participants in your videos, unlike others who act like gatekeepers. Well, absolutely, man. Well, we're all trying to figure out this together. And I benefit from all you guys helping me gain better insight into this stuff. And I hope you get something out of my insight too. But yeah, we're all trying to figure it out together, guys. Absolutely, 100%. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. I have to go soon. It's Sunday. I got stuff to do, but let's see if we can get a few more questions in. If you want me to get your question in, I'm going to keep harping on it. I'm sorry. If you want me to get your question in before I leave, definitely leave a super chat. But let's try to do another 5 minutes. My voice is kind of going out on me. I can't do these talks forever. 13 Paul says, imagine how disappointing it will be for some people when they find out the aliens are here for the octopus. Right? Right. Yeah, we're not here for you guys. We're here for the octopus. We want our sushi. Well, no, that's fish. What's the octopus? Yeah. Yes, I'm blanking. When I do live chat, sometimes my brain goes blank. Chris also says, undoubtedly, Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to get a rude awakening. His dismissal of aliens and UAP is going to place his intellect on an elementary level to the beings. I know, right? When we do have open contact or some sort of official UFO disclosure, he is going to look so silly. That's going to be hilarious. Egg on his face. Love it. John Ramirez said, hey, John, how's it going? Some of us excel and the others say we are great. I'm going to say, I don't think I quite got that. Some of us excel and the others say we are great. WV. I don't think I quite got that. I don't think it maybe yeah, talk slower for me. John, but yeah, but good to hear from you. Matt Long says Tyson is a clown. He's a smart guy, but he is suffering from some huge cognitive dissonance. He and Mick West need to get tattoos. The cognitive dissonance brothers, Stargazer, I don't think it would be so somber. We can already admit we're not apex. Just stick somebody in the middle of the ocean. Their view superiority quickly vanishes and belongs to the sharks. That's grim. Matt Long, I'm a Christian. This comes as no surprise for me or my other friends. The book of Revelation and number is on point. Yeah, I do. I think that Christians and other religious people are going to have a leg up on this in a big way, instead of the opposite. Delia West says Linda Bolton Howell had a guest called Linda who said the same about containers. She was an abductee. Yes, multiple abductees have said that. That's not just Bob Lazar saying that. That is coming from multiple different sources who are being told that by the beings. So, that humans are containers, apparently for consciousness or souls, seems to be the implication is that we are containers for souls. So, I mean, could that be a container for something else like DNA or something like that? Yes, that is always possible. Chris says, but because of the soul transfer and the consciousness transfer programs that they seem to have, the implication seems to be that it's containers of souls. So, but yeah, Chris says, I'm Catholic, but I believe that there has to be something that connects all those religions and spiritual practices. In a way, we are looking at one sliver of something greater. Yeah, a book that I talk a lot about a lot about, that means a lot to me, is the Dolores Cannon books on Jesus. And they are written, and these are, she hypnotizes people. That's what she does or did. She hypnotizes people to recall alien abductions and also past lives. Well, during her career, she encountered 3 people that knew Jesus in a past life. And she wrote 2 books about their experiences and what they had to say about Jesus and the Essenes. Anyway, I'm not going to get into a whole big thing on that. But in those books, it ties in the Eastern philosophy with the Christian philosophy. In the Atlantis and UFOs, you get Buddhism, you get reincarnation, you get Jesus, it's nuts. It really ties it all together. It's really profound. The book means a lot to me. I was an atheist all my life until recently, yada, yada, yada. In those books, I was meditating or thinking about those during one of my ayahuasca retreats. And I had this profound event that happened for me where I had this powerful resonance with Jesus. I had this profound resonance with Jesus during the ayahuasca retreat. And it was so profound, I really expected Jesus to step out. You hear about people encountering cosmic beings during these retreats. I thought, hey, this is going to happen. It didn't happen, but I asked for a sign, whether that was a real event or if I was just tripping my balls off. A month later, when I'm perfectly sober, a UFO makes the shape of a cross in the sky. It goes like that, vanishes, reappears, goes like that. Making the horizontal line was shorter than the top line. It's just a perfect Christian cross. So what's up with that? Was that Jesus in a UFO? Was that an angel? What was that? What was going on there? But that is my answer to your question, is that there is a way to tie it all together. There is a larger reality, where Christian and Buddhist and all those things are subsets of this larger reality. And there is a broader view that can be seen or glimpsed. I think they all got a piece of it, and there's a bigger reality out there. But there is there. And I had my own Jesus experience, which was then corroborated by a UFO. It was nuts. It was nuts, guys. But Elias says, any more MH370? Mucho Taco says MH370 is all fake. Well, we don't know. We don't know. There's conflicting information. There's debunks of the debunks. My mind is still very open on MH370. But if you guys see some information on it, please let me know, because I would love to figure out what actually happened there. Rick says, hey, what did you think of the Carl Crusher video and the possible weapon connection to the phenomenon? Yeah, that was nuts. I probably should do a video on that, but it's Carl's research. I definitely, I should at least mention it. But yeah, they at Mount Wilson, they found what may be some sort of phased array weapon or something. I'm probably saying it wrong, under the ground. And that may have been left over from the Bigelow days at Mount, because Bob Bigelow owned that as a working lab, as a lab for his NIDS, and they were studying a phenomena there, just as they studied Skinwalker Ranch. Well, the new owners and Carl the Crusher, they have found this crazy thing that might be an energy weapon under the ground. I really want more information about that. I need to hear a response from Bob Bigelow and those people before I really have anything to say about that. Because all I have is from Carl and some of the people that he's associated with. And I love Carl, and I love everything they're doing, but they do sometimes have a very different take and a very different point of view than I, for one, do. And the people that I resonate most with, than they do. The Skinwalker Ranch team, investigating the phenomena on there. I really resonate with what they're doing. So, but if this device exists, I would love more people to go out and study it. And I want photos, I want video, I want analysis of what this device is. Carl said that they first thought it might be a directed energy weapon designed for fracking, which is crazy, right? And why would that be there? And why would Bob Bigelow be doing fracking? Maybe this was some prototype that Hal Puthoff cooked up to see if they could create an energy weapon for fracking, just for fun, because he's a science guy. That's what he likes to do. But some people think it's an energy weapon designed to fake UFOs, to create plasma balls that can be manipulated into creating fake UFO sightings. And that is all a big, project, blue beam kind of operation. And Bob Bigelow is responsible. He's the mastermind behind a huge project, blue beam, using this energy weapon. I don't buy that. I love you, Carl. I love your work. I mean, I wish I could go on an adventure with you. I really do, man. But I don't buy that. But I would love a response from Bob Bigelow or any of those guys, Hal Puthoff, any guy, any of those NIDS guys that were working on that, ALSAP, whoever was in the loop on that, because that's really juicy, right? Whether it's for creating UFOs or fracking or whatever it is, if they had an energy weapon under the ground, well, why would they have left it there? That doesn't make any sense at all. But if it is there, I mean, I don't think Carl is making it up. But could he being pranked? Could the control group have installed a energy weapon there for him to find, to give him the wrong ideas about things? I don't know. I want more information, but it is for sure a juicy story. And Rick, if you're the one that clued me in on that, thank you very much for sharing that video with me, because it was a super juicy video. But I really just want more information about it. I really do. But I think that this is about as long as my voice is going to tolerate. I think I'm going to have to sign off for today. But thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been an awesome chat. I really enjoyed it. And I need to probably try to do this regularly, like every Sunday or something like that. So let me know what day works for you in the chat or in the comments, I guess, because when I hit end, you have to talk in the comments. But I have really enjoyed talking with you guys, and please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, become a channel member, leave a donation, all that kind of stuff, and buy one of my books if you like science fiction and fantasy books. That's the kind of book I write. There's the cover for a couple of them right there. So go check those out. Link in the description. And love you guys. Have a great Sunday. See you next time.